you're looking back, but the coach might not even know. Like, how many times has it happened where you're thinking, wow, there's only 20 seconds left. I want to get my next line up. So, but that guy thought you just you took him off the field, but you didn't know that.
Yeah.
And you harbor that for a while.
Yeah.
And
you don't sleep at night. Then you're pissed off.
Yeah. If you ask the coach, I didn't even realize. Sorry, I missed it.
Playing in the NHL was my lifelong dream. I remember just being in my room, you know, reading Guy Lafleur books, wondering how, you know, if I could ever play in the NHL.
It's funny because I like Guy Lafleur too. It's my favorite of all time.
I got the same story. I'm going to share.
Guy Lafleur,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Awesome. I got to get same thing. But I think what's for me, you know, winning a Stanley Cup's the ultimate, right? And I think that's the biggest thing ever. You know, you do other things and they're good things, but I think the ultimate, it's surreal because when you win the Stanley Cup and you grab it and you hold it on the ice, you really think of, like, I just, you know, St. Louis Blues this year, watching, you know, good friend Craig Berube lifting it up, and it just brings back memories of being in that situation, the hard work it took, you know, whatever small piece you were part of it, the video guy, the chef, all these guys honestly have a piece of that, and huge piece.
Yeah.
And I think of those things. I think of the guys that, you know, for me, I remember the Black Ace guys, the guys that just work, and then a month they might not even play. But by the fourth round, we need this guy. Yeah. You know, it happened to St. Louis with Sanford. He didn't play much. All of a sudden, he was a big part. I remember guys. You know, when I played, Adam Bird. I remember he didn't play at all in the playoffs when I was playing for Philadelphia. And he just worked every day. I didn't really know him that well, you know, as a teammate, because I got traded there, and we needed him. And he went in the lineup one game, and we needed, you know, 18 minutes of solid D, and he did, and we won the game. So those are the things I remember myself. Not obviously as an individual winning the cup, but those little things that you need to win a cup. It's so important.
It's amazing the family, like people on the outside, they don't understand what a family. A team is, how deep rooted it is.
Would you say you, Rod, would it be the winning Stanley Cup, or like, you know?
Well, it has to be.
Yeah.
Right, it has to be. And to what you just said, that's why the guys that have done it, and there's no offense, you haven't. If you say haven't, but you almost can't explain it. But everything you just said is what it's about, right? It's all the people that got you there. That's what actually was so rewarding. Yeah. Now you're excited, you got it, but you just realize all the people that helped you get to that moment, and it doesn't get any better than that, right? And whether you win it a couple times or just that one, to me that was enough. Like one time is good. You could win it 10 times, but winning it once was so great because of all the people that helped you get there. And they feel it too, right? All the people that helped you, you see it in them. Like you talk about the video coaches or whatever, they're just as involved in it, and it means so much, right? And that's why we play the game. I think that's why we're still involved in it, because it's the people, right? This is a great people game, I think. And I'll fast forward here because you talked about Guy Lafleur. So just as a kid, my story, I grew up actually out in British Columbia here, and I was in the Guy Lafleur fan club. Like literally, I had posters.
Get the buttons.
And exactly.
That's awesome.
The stuff sent it to me, and I'm like, this is the greatest. He retired for a year. He comes back. He's playing for the Nordiques. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember. You guys were playing.
Yeah.
So that's my first year in the league, and I look over, and I'm standing beside, and there's Guy Lafleur. Like I'm lined up against him to start the game. Right, like it was a wow moment.
Sure.
And then Mario Marois was playing, and I said, you know, he goes and gets me a stick after the game because you know he knew him, and I still have that. Like you know, there's a few things I have, but that was a special moment. So I don't know, we got off topic, but that's you know. It's pretty cool.
It's the love of the game, and it's not just the game itself. It's just, you know, being around everyone and everyone that pulling on the same rope all the time.
The one thing, as a coach, from the time I won a Stanley Cup to now being a coach, like I value the little thing more than ever, and that's the hardest. I shouldn't say the hardest thing. What I like to tell the young players on our team, like the little thing. Yeah. You know, you look at. You know, when say you look at teams. You know, you guys had a great run. You look at teams that had great runs in the playoffs, like St. Louis, and like
the buy-in
like in the Maroons' goal to win. You know, it's 1 inch. Dallas gets into them. And obviously, St. Louis played great that game, but who's the guy that kind of boxed out somebody for the puck to get to the net for Maroon to score that goal? Like everybody thinks, you know, listen, Pat Maroon, awesome. You know, good for him. What about that guy? So I try to explain to our players. You know, that all the process of box, being
Those little details.
Details like rubbing a guy out just a little bit to get your teammate instead of like, and I'll tell you, sometimes some players don't value that little. They want to score the goal. They want they want the tap in, they want the shot. But what about the guy that can do that? And I think it's
the process, right? You guys don't know how much video we watch. It can be an icing that you didn't chase down or you screwed up that ends up being a face-off in your end that ends up being to a box out, and the guy that iced it is already maybe not even involved in it, but he's the one that caused that.
How many times when you're coaching do you think back to when you were a player?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah. No, it's really.
Actually, did you guys put yourself in the guys? I remember this situation. So whether good or bad, you think, I remember I did that or I did that situation.
So every time when you're talking about your video, your presentation today, like I was thinking about that. All the presentations that we do, I always put myself in the player's seat when we're watching. So before we send it to the players, I'm like, okay, what is that guy sitting in that stall? How is he thinking of that? Yeah. And if it's too long, get rid of it. Doesn't matter. We may not show enough, but don't overdo
don't lose
it. Because that guy's right now going, and he likes to see himself. So if you can show a couple of clips of him, that's the guys you're trying to get to.
Yeah, for sure.
Know? Yeah. So we're always using, I think that's, I don't want to say our edge, but for us, the guys that play, like you got to rely on that, right? That's what makes you good at it.
Well, that's a big part of it if you've played. I like you said, some guys have coached for 30, 40 years, and but haven't played. Some guys have played and only coached, 10 years or just starting or whatever, and it's an argument for both sides. But I think guys like us have to
you got to use what you have.
Advantage.
Like that's what I know how you would coach. I know you, right? Like, and that's if you don't do that. If you're not being who you are, you're not going to be any good.
Right. For sure.
You got to be who you are.
Yeah, for sure.
And that gives you the best chance to be successful.
Like, do you guys watch other coaches? Like, I find, Travis and I are good friends. We discuss a lot of, not afraid to share some system stuff, whatever. Or like, during the playoffs, I watched you a lot. And there's some calls where go against you, like egregious calls, and actually, obviously you have the fate, like you're going to the ref, but you kind of clicked right back into all right, who's up for penalty kill? And I learned from that. Sometimes I get a little I get involved with the ref too much. Now all of a sudden I got to get a guy out there, and it's happened to me before where I've put the wrong guy out there because I'm
that
in a
took
hurry.
Me a little while.
Yeah, so I've watched.
I do that all the time.
No, it's so I like to learn from different coaches, like that, their demeanor in certain pressure situations.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. It happens, but it happens to everybody. It'll happen to the best guys too.
Yeah.
Right? It happens. And I think it's okay at times because the guys feed off you. And if you got to have some emotion back there, right? If you don't, I don't know. It's your personality. They take on a little bit of who you are. And that's what your assistants are for, though, right? They'll help you out. If you screw up, I really rely on my guys so much. Like they help. Like, hey, you messed up here, or you got to get this guy ready.
Get him out. Yeah.
Thank you. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
It's amazing how heated you can get, and I don't know how you guys feel, but it took me some time just I can't go off the especially with the refs at the NHL level.
Yeah.
You need to develop relationships with them, and that's the one thing I've tried to learn is to just stay calm and cool whenever you're on the bench.
You guys find this is what I like. Everybody wants to win the Stanley Cup, right? Everybody wants the results. Everybody wants to win. I've learned over the years the process of it is to me is you can't worry about the end result. You got to worry about this process, and I'm always trying to figure how do you get this process. Whether we always talk it. Is it too much pre-scout? How do we practice different? You know what I mean? The old hockey 101, everybody practices 40, 45 minutes. How do we get skill work in? These are part of the process. Have I spent enough time with this player, this player, this player? Do you guys chart? Individually talking to a player. Sometimes I chart it now because sometimes I might have talked to a guy for a couple
that's
weeks.
A good idea because you can miss guys.
I've missed guys, and I've had players come to me, talk to me in 2 weeks, talk to me in a general sense in a long time, and I'm like, oh man, so I think charting that stuff.
That's a good idea.
Because the loud guy in your room, or the guy that runs around or doesn't play well and then plays great, you talk to him all the time because you're trying to push him. We got a couple on our team where I'm like, if I don't check in with this guy, I know he's not ready to go.
Right.
And then there's the guy that's kind of quiet. He's on the,
He
You
seems like
forgot about him.
yeah, he plays good all the time.
or you think he doesn't need to.
Yeah,
talk. Even your best guys. Sometimes you think,
they
okay,
do.
they're good, but they need to
gotta
be
check
checked
in
in.
with them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
That's a good idea though to charter team because you get caught up, right? And some guys take more time. Like you guys got to have those guys, right? That you're like, oh, this guy's wearing me out, but you got to. He does need more time.
We got one guy on our team. I know if I call him in, like I better have 30 minutes. Yeah. Like at our year-end meeting, he had a list for me.
Right. Right.
It was an hour long.
Yeah.
I felt like I was getting the year-end meeting, and he's telling me
What to
where
do,
we
yeah.
need to be.
Yeah, we all have those guys.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it great too, the personalities.
Yeah,
and then it's figuring them out,
Managing them,
right?
right.
You just got to know what makes them tick. I think that's what coaching really is. Right? At the end of the day,
pushing the right, buttons for it, and everyone's different. Every button's different.
Like what inspires them too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what galvanizes the team, like the stuff that you guys did, galvanize your team.
Yeah.
The Vegas a couple years ago, the finals.
Yeah.
The tragedy. Like there's things that can galvanize your team.
sure.
A we against the world. Injuries. You can just. You're always thinking of something to inspire guys, and it's just like us. We need to be inspired too.
Especially in the dog days. Trying to get your team to be fired up and how passionate you want to talk to them before a game, and you
that's
can't
the
do it.
hardest
You
part,
can't do
right?
it every game.
We're basically saying the same things, 82 games a year, but you got to say a little
Different language.
So how do you do that?
Today's
That's what I
French.
find
Yeah.
really hard. Like, okay, we know we're going to say we got to work harder than you guys. And I know you're saying that to our
Right,
your
sure.
So how do we tweak that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
To get the guys to go, yeah, that's the same thing, but it's different. That's what I find.
We come out of our
tough.
meetings and we're like, same message, different language.
Yeah.
Almost every game. It's the same. There's always the same keywords that you're going to touch on, but you're trying to. We deliver it in maybe a little bit different language, and
Like I'm sensitive to like a player tired of hearing my voice, right? I play for coaches like after a while you're like the Charlie Brown wah, like enough, like you know what I mean. So are you guys sensitive to that? Do you guys say to yourself like maybe today is not the right day to talk too much or whatever?
I think it depends on the age of your team too, and where your team's
for
at as
sure.
far as winning.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Like the good teams, they know a lot of times. Like they know when they need a kick, and the young teams, like in Vancouver, we're still trying to build a culture that where it's every day.
Yeah.
It's not 6 days a week. It's every day, and that's why right now we deliver the message hard still. But I've told them I want to get to a stage where I don't have to deliver any messages. And
You're right. I think it is your team. That's again knowing your group. I think it's easier when they're younger because I think you can. And the older guys, you can just. You're right. You go, but the young guys need it every day.
Sure.
Right? Like
Older
they just
a little
do.
bit still.
But your point is 100% right. Like you really got to know, man. They get tired of hearing. I get tired of hearing myself. Like I'm like, I can't. You got to go in there pregame, in between periods. Like
we change.
They tune you out, right? At some point, so you got to mix it up. Get your other guys
change
to use
halfway
it.
through the year. Yeah. Actually, like Manny touched on today, we start doing our pre-scout video, like before the game, at 5:30, instead of in the morning. And part of it is because I think they get tired of me coming in at 5:30, and now I don't say much at 5:30. In the second half of the year, I might not say anything. Where at the beginning of the year, we'll do video in the morning. We're teaching, and then at night, I'll probably restate it in a different way without the video. But again, now it cuts my voice down a little bit in the second half of the year.
That's a tough. How do you do it? Well, your whole
pre-scout type of thing.
Are you the guy that does it? And
I don't do that. I actually I've let our video coach. Now I call him video coach, assistant coach. Steve Pierce is really good. I let him do it.
Yeah, he's been doing it a while. He's good.
And then near the end, I started to do a little bit because there was more like video on us.
Right.
And I'm like, I like doing it at 5:30. Me personally, we've talked about this. I'm like a 85% worry about us, 15 on the other team. Yeah. I think 85% of teams do the same thing. 90%. Like I can, whether it's a little bit neutral and different.
If your team,
net front
ready
defense,
to
does he play strong side or middle? Like there's little tweaks here and there. But to me, it's about us.
I think that's the way we think. I think that's what from playing. That's why we think that way.
I think we can. Some days we don't even show, we don't even need to show video.
We've done that a lot. We don't show any in the other team. Guys, this is we do that because you know what they're doing, right? In your video today, there's like 2 or 3 systems that everybody's playing, at most, right? You know what
it's all about
everybody's
us.
doing.
Sure.
If we don't play the right way, we ain't winning.
Right. Execute.
Right, for sure. Well, it's like when you guys, every round you had a different, that's a little more in depth, I guess, in the playoffs, right?
For
because
sure.
You're playing a team seven,
You
hopefully
make
4 times, but
adjustments.
7 times, and you got to just, how do you adjust certain things?
That gets tougher, right? It gets a little tougher, but really, at the end of the day, not really. It's like
it's a wrinkle.
It comes down
It's
to
a
the
wrinkle
playoffs.
here and there.
Exactly, and you almost know more. Like, to be honest with you, you know what they're doing. That's what's even more frustrating, and they still get you.
Yeah.
Like in Boston's case against us, like I know their power play was crushing us, and we're like, we know what they're doing. We got to try, and it didn't matter. Like that's when you know you're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, oh geez.
I know what you're doing, and
you're still
doing
going ding ding ding, and you're like, okay.
And you're seeing that guy back check, don't hook him, right?
yeah,
And then,
take it back.
I know.
For me, the best advice I probably received was early. I don't even know if I received it, but when I started coaching, it was with Mike Johnson in Portland. I think patience, for me, to have patience. I think when you play, you're always aggressive. You want to get things done. You find a way all the time because individually you can do whatever you want to do. But when you're dealing with other people, having that patience that hey, maybe I've got to go about this. It's up to me to go about it a different way to get this guy to buy in or teach him or push him or whatever it is. But I think patience for me was, when it came to coaching, was the best advice that I've probably received. And just to be yourself.
Yeah, that's like for me for decisiveness. Like, and I kind of, lucky enough to hook on with Pittsburgh at the before I took the Arizona job, the 3-4 years with Mike Sullivan and Jacques Martin. It was a really good staff in the sense, gathering information. I watched Sully argue, this guy we're doing this and this, but then at the end of the day, he's got to make that decision, right? And I felt early on I would listen to the outside noise too much. This guy, you got to put him in the lineup. Now I'm very decisive. I know the way I want us to play. Listen, I gather my information, and I listen to my assistant coach a lot, but at the end of the day, no, I'm going with this. And we had some tough decisions. Like, I remember sitting in a room at Mike Sullivan's suite, and we had to make a decision, Flower, unbelievable goalie, or Murray. Murray's come back from an injury playing Ottawa in the playoffs. We were up till about 3 a.m, and it was just an argument, both sides. And I remember Sully goes, okay, I remember he said, okay, I'll let you guys know in the morning. And then he made the decision in the morning. That's a tough decision, He fails, picks the wrong goalie, we lose, he gets killed in the papers, right? Lucky he made the right decision. And both could have played either guy. When you have those two type of goalies, great goalie. But those are the things, and I remember that moment. Now when I coach, it's like, sometimes you're like, oh man, who do I do this and that? But now I'm going with this, or we're playing this way. Hey, it might be the wrong road, but I'd rather go that way. You got a better chance of going over the bridge knowing you've made that decisive, instead of like wishy-washy. And I thought early on in my career it was a little too wishy-washy. So for me, it's decisiveness.
I couldn't agree with you more. And we already said it, be yourself, right? Because the other thing is, if you get caught, people talk about my press conferences after you're to this. If I get caught trying to sugarcoat it or not tell you what I think, I'm just going to come back to bite me later. It's harder to dive around it than just tell it how it is, right? Because then it goes and you're done. But be yourself. That's the one. And then, like you just said, make the decision. You take all the info, ask everyone. We ask all our staff on everything. I feel real good. Okay, what do you think? At the end of the day, they're looking for you to make it anyway, right? So do it, because you're right. Win or lose, it's on you, right? So you don't want to lose and go, I was thinking I should have done it that way. Do it the way you and then you can at least go to put your head at night and be like, okay, I did it the way I wanted to do it. And I think that's what you have to be. You have to be decisive.
Well,
right?
Even to follow up on that, like you talk about being decisive, but also being honest with your players. And like I'll openly tell a player, hey, like I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make a mistake. You make a mistake. Any coach that tells you that he doesn't make a mistake, he's lying to you.
No, for sure.
And I tell our players that, like, I'm not always gonna make the right choice. You might have a night where you didn't play that much. You might have a case that after the game, I thought.
No, you're right. Bring the bullets in. Like, if you're coming into my office and you got some bullets, like,
I was wrong.
I'm a big believer in that. You're right.
But also, when you come in, you're going to get the goods. Like, you're also going to get the other side. It's not always going to be all roses.
Do you think it's a partnership with the players?
Yeah, I do.
Like, can you be a partner? Like,
I do.
Like,
I think.
Yeah,
I think you have to be.
You have to.
Sort of. There's a line, but.
And they still got to understand that you're the one making the call, and there's certain expectations that that have to be upheld, or you're not going to play. And but I think if you can have that relationship with the players,
it's trust, right?
It's going to be accountability. There's going to be trust. There's going to be honesty. I got an open door. You want to come in and talk about it? Come on in. Let's talk.
Might not like the answer.
Yeah,
but that's good. I like it that way too. Come and tell me what you think. I don't know what you're thinking. Right? Or to your point, I missed. I didn't get you out enough. It wasn't on purpose. And you know how it is. You're on the power play, and the coach took you off for once. You're looking back, but the coach might not even know. Like how many times it happened where you're thinking, "Wow, there's only 20 seconds left. I want to get my next line up." So, but that guy thought you just you took him off the job, but you didn't know that.
Yeah.
And you harbor that for a while.
Yeah.
And
you don't sleep at night. You're pissed off.
Yeah. If you ask the coach, I didn't even realize. Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So there is a lot of that. I think you got to have open door
and making sure your players don't. Also, I think telling them like, hey, like don't sweat the small stuff. Like if I'm mad at you or something, you're going to hear about it. Yeah. You know that.
Yeah.
So.
The one thing I don't know, you guys feel I shouldn't say struggle with, but to be a good coach, you have to have good leadership, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you don't have leadership, I don't care if you're Scotty Bowman, Al Arbour, or Rapid into one. You have to have good leadership because you look at those teams, Al Arbour, the leaders he had on this team. It's the same thing. You try to galvanize your leaders. What's the numbers? That's always struggle. Do you just bring the assistant captain and captain? Do you add the fourth, this veteran guy? Is it 5 guys? Is 6 too many? That's the biggest thing I struggle. Like, sometimes I've had 7 guys in there. I'm like, we don't need 7 guys. But there's that one guy's on the problem.
I find if you have one, it's all you need.
That's right.
It'll be if you have the one guy.
Yeah, the good one.
He goes and it goes all to everybody else. If you don't, you end up with 7 guys in the room. And I've had it both. I've seen it. Yeah. Like we struggled with them for a long time, and all good guys, all right. Yeah. But when you have one, you just okay. This is what we need to do. Boom. And next, everybody's he gets the message
really
out.
Good one. You're lucky.
Yeah. And it's hard, right? Like I mean, when you have those guys, you gotta hang on to them. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Like you probably got, with Willie.
Willie was great.
Yeah.
That was a layup. I couldn't ask for better. New guy coming in, okay, and just to your point, we need leadership. Like it was, we have great guys, but they needed somebody to just send the message that you're throwing out there, and then talk about open door. He comes in, this ain't work. You're way too off on this. Okay, thanks, Willie. And then Willie, you're playing like crap, right? Yeah. You got to pull yourself. Yeah, I know. Good. Gotta get out of here. He takes the team. I think it's their team, but you need a guy. I think it's so important.
Yeah, it's not even the voice too. Like, just trying to establish leadership. It could be like I'm a big believer in like. And I talked to our OEL, our captain, about that a lot. It's great guy and stuff like that, but it's about practicing hard too. Like you have a box out drill, and I used to tell him, I said, you're in there. And you're letting your buddy just get to the net. I said, you're not doing him justice and you justice. I want you to play. You don't want to kill him, but play hard. Yeah. And I'm telling you, the Pittsburgh experience for me is watching guys like Crosby and Letang, Malkin. They practice hard. Yeah. We don't go long, but if you have a drill, if it's 2-on one drill, it's not like go up the ice, back pass here.
They're going.
They're going.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a play to this far side. The guy's going net, stick on the ice. He's going low. And they're humming, and you're a young kid. You watch that, it galvanizes the team. Leadership to me is in practice too. It's not about just, hey guys, we're doing this, we're doing. It's the way you practice, and that's a big part of it. And
even wanting to get out there, and on those dog days, like where like when you have good leaders, I find like
they want to practice, and they want to practice.
Hey, this is part of it, and we're not going out there just to float. Like we're going out there. We don't really want to skate today. We got in late, whatever, or it's going to be a tough one, but they lead the way.
Yes.
And I think that you need that on any team, really.
Any team that's ever won, take a look at it. Yeah. Right? You look at St. Louis, you see who their leaders are. And I bet you they practice that way.
And you learn from past as a player. I'm sure you've had guys you've played with yourself. Played with 16 teams like Ray Bourque. He'd be he's played 30 minutes a night, but his next day in practice, he's playing
first
Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky, he had his time up, but he would practice hard. Mario, when he went out there, with his injuries, but he practiced that 20 minutes or whatever he practiced hard. Then you get off the ice. Don't get me wrong, but you just have these certain guys that just the way they practice, and it just.
Well, that's with young guys, I think too. You have to. Some of them have it, and some of them you've got to, like practice habits. You have to teach them. You really do. I find it's the younger guys more than anything. The older guys that end up being in the, once you're in the league,
you figure it out. After
or
a while.
you're not in the league.
Yeah.
or you're not, or on
you're out
on
after-
your team.
Yeah.
I mean, you hate to say
3
it.
teams, 3 or 4 or 5 years, and you're out.
Yep.
I struggle with all the time is it's an emotional roller coaster that you're always in deficit for me. Like we win, and as a coach, you expect to win.
It's relief.
So you're like, well,
Yeah.
but for me, it's like, okay, I didn't really enjoy that. It was supposed to win, but when you lose, it's like, so you're always. This may be where you started the season, your emotion, but now you're always. It just wears on you, like because you want to win every night, you expect it. And the losing is tough. Like you have to figure out how to I think you mentioned it in that thing. It's like it's the process, okay? Or you talked about that. The process, win or lose, and if you're doing it right, you got to just be happy with that, and because it eats you up.
Well, it's funny in your press conferences this year during the playoffs. I think you touched on enjoying it.
Yes.
And actually, I started thinking about it then, because during the season you're grinding and you win, and it's like, okay, what do we got next?
Yeah. It's always the next thing.
Yeah, like you're like, okay, we got the Rangers coming in 2 nights, and when you lose, it's like, it brings you just almost like it brings you to your knees,
Right.
And it's
You
hard
gotta enjoy it.
Yeah, you do.
You gotta
and
find
not let
a
your
way.
emotions beat you up too much because you want to win so bad, and
There's only so much you can do.
I think that's something you have to learn as a coach too.
Yeah. It's a good question. I mean, I got so many in my head.
Yeah.
But as a player, I remember going in. I always remember this in '87 when I went to the finals, and I kind of changed my routine a little bit. It was Game 7. We're playing the Oilers, and I did a whole bunch of different things. I went to bed like at 9 o'clock. I did everything different, and I stunk that game.
Off your routine.
Off my routine. And then in '92 when we won the Cup, I just did the same thing. Whatever I did, within reason. I did the same thing, and I felt my legs were good. So I try to tell the players that.
Find your routine.
You score a couple of goals, and you score a couple of goals, you're successful. That doesn't mean you let foot off the gas pedal. I'm not gonna shoot those pucks today. You know what? I'm gonna leave practice early because
I got a couple last night.
I got this. I got that. It comes back to bite you because when you're in a slump, it's hard to get out. So I think as a coach. Same thing. You try to keep your same routine as a coach.
Keep doing it right.
Doing it right or whatever, and then don't let your foot off a wounded snake because it'll bite you. That's what I just and try to be even keel. You don't
love it.
You don't win the Stanley Cup when you win, and everything's not death when you lose. You just got to really keep a demeanor. And I think players watch your demeanor after games. Win or lose.
Do you guys go in the room after games?
I don't go out that much. I don't believe in going. I'm probably a 20%
Yeah, I
guy.
stopped doing it a lot now. I used to go in after every game, and then now I really just go in after we win and give some knuckles and leave. But I used to go after every game.
But it's funny because I don't want to, but I don't like doing that either, right? Because I'm saying, oh, here he comes only when we win.
Yeah, but I'm not talking.
Like when we lose.
I literally
okay.
the music's on. I'm walking around the room, giving some knuckle bumps to everyone, and then they don't even know I'm.
Do you go in every,
I do, and it started. I didn't want it to start that way, but someone brought it up to me, and I just from the previous coaches I've been with, they winning after we won. So we started the season. Actually, we won the first few games. Like it was good. So and then we lost, and our strength coach comes in, and he goes, "Well, you're not going to go speak to him now?" And I was like, "Oh, you're right." Yeah. So now I've started this. So now,
you can't
but I'm quick, and one little thing either way. But it was to your point, right? You can't be win or lose. You got to be the same.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's bad to go in.
Yeah.
Like I just.
But if you've been there more than a year or two, I think that's when you're like, now, okay, they're
dial it down.
like,
I'm with you.
I can't be talking to them 24/7.
No, I agree. You got to adjust a little.
Yeah,
for sure.
you do.
Yeah.
Like that's even when I was in Utica for, I think it was 4 or 5 years, and I changed a lot from year to year. Like. In the American League, just we had the same guys, and I stopped going in the room a little bit. Just, I think you have to do that. You got to switch it up a little bit.
For sure.